Hi guys, back again. So I've been working on the camper all day. Look at that, burnt myself on the exhaust. It looks painful, but it isn't. Obviously my other hobby is working on these old cars, and I literally have spent the whole day on it. It drove me mad, still not finished, but that's life, that's hobbies for you. So I've had a haircut, dyed my hair black. I'm going away for 2 days tomorrow, so I'll probably make a live or a few videos while I'm away. So just so you know, guys, my name's Louis. I'm in a small seaside town called Weston-super-Mare in southwest UK, and I'm 56, nearly 57. I'm a lifelong Elvis fan, and I love anything Elvis. Anything, good or bad, anything connected to Elvis, whether it could be girlfriends or the Memphis Mafia or things Elvis loved doing, or people that Elvis met, could be Tom Jones, Muhammad Ali, and I will find any connection to Elvis, and there are millions of things. So I never run out of different topics. At the moment, I am concentrating on this situation with the comments that are flying in about Elvis and Priscilla and Navarone and Lisa Marie Presley. They seem to be the main brunt of the comments I'm getting. So I'm still carrying that on for a while until it sort of gets tired. So if I know a lot of you tend to watch my lives a long time after I've done them. Like I did one today. Let me just go to it. I did a live 11 hours ago. It's 8:23 p.m. in the UK, and it's quite sunny evening. My wife's gone to see her friends. My kids are upstairs. So I thought I've got some time to kill. I've cleaned myself up. I've got rid of the oily smell and the petrol smell of the cars. And I thought I'm just going to sit here and go through some of these comments and play you some of my videos. So the latest Elvis Presley live I did was called, let me just have a look at the exact title. Elvis Presley and Priscilla, Why the Hate, Part 3. So I'm trying to understand why so many people are so upset with Priscilla, and they're even upset with Navarone, and all trying to defend Elvis and stick up for Elvis. I don't blame them. He's worth sticking up for, and he's not here to defend himself. So I completely understand it. And I also completely understand why so many of you are upset. So it's had 151 views already. And I did that 11 hours ago. But you think that video is 1 hour and 21 minutes long, and 150 people have watched that. That's a lot of people to watch such a long live. And I'm so grateful. And that figure will probably double by tomorrow. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch my videos, my lives, me just chatting about Elvis and anything Elvis. It does mean a lot to me, and always surprises me how many of you watch it. And I know a lot of you do watch all the way through, which I'm so grateful for. And so I'm going to just click on there's one. Let me just read this to you. I'm just going to click on the comments as we go and just see how we go. But I do want to play you some videos as well. So so this is from Debbie Bowman. Let's have a look. She just lived 20 years with Navarone, with Navarone's dad, but he left her ass because she wouldn't marry him, and she was using the Presley name for the money. Down through the years, she has changed her story in interviews over and over because she lies and forgets what she says and Priscilla always made difference between Lisa Marie and her son because she loves him more than Lisa is actually like her dad. And she reminded her of Elvis Presley, and she slept 3 times with the guy she asked to take her to meet Elvis. And that's what he said. And Elvis found out about that after they got married, that she's not a virgin. And Elvis always told her he wanted the woman he married to be a virgin, and she knew this. She did say that her life was horrible because he did control her. He didn't. So she's saying he didn't. And on top of that, her greedy dad forced Elvis to marry her alone with the Colonel Tom Parker, saying it would be hurtful for his image. But honestly, her stepdad wanted Elvis to marry her for money, and so he wouldn't have to help her. He never promised to marry her. He promised to let his family take care and support her. Right. It wasn't easy to read, but actually that comment covers the most common things that people are moaning about. I know a lot of this is from Child Bride. I get hints of this. And all the little points I'm going through, when they mention the Colonel, they mention Vernon, and they mention the promises Elvis made. And this gets repeated over and over again, even when they're talking about Navarone. And the fact that they think that Priscilla loves Navarone much more than he ever loved Lisa Marie. So these are common things that are being repeated here. So anyway, let's go to the video I posted today. Let's click on the comments. Get past the adverts. Right. I'm going to start from the top. So 8 hours ago, we have Lady Capricorn, who's hosted on here many times, and she's very passionate with her views on Elvis and Priscilla. I do not like what she did to him financially in 1973. That was a very bad year for Elvis, discounting the divorce. He was struggling in 73, and the divorce made it even worse. He did perk up in 74 and 75. He was also hospitalized several times during those tense times. Priscilla must have been somewhat aware of any health issues he was having, emotional, mental, and physical. Yet she still walked away and took too much money from him. And that is a very good point, actually. He was having a very tough time, 73, 74, 75. And she's obviously left him by then. And you're basically saying she had no regard for his health, for the condition he was in, where he was with his life. And she basically just said, I'm out of here. I'm doing my own thing. I've got a new man. See you later, alligator, and give me loads of money. That's the truth of it. And she kept going back for more money, this is the bit about Priscilla. I don't like the going back for more. Too much, guys, too much. Right, so let's have a look. Lisa living with her mother and another man. So let's have a look. Yet she still walked away and took too much money from him. He also had to deal with Lisa living with her mother and another man, which that must just been a complete nightmare to do that, to be honest. I know that hurt him a lot, and Lisa adored her daddy much more than she did for Priscilla. Lisa probably loved her mother, but did not like her. Okay, that's a good, fair comment. I mean, they definitely argued a lot. But come on, parents argue with their kids all the time. Yeah. I think kids treat other people better than they treat their own parents. But did not like her. Then Elvis died, and Lisa was a lost little girl. Perhaps she really never recovered from that time period in her life. And I agree with that. I mean, I think, wasn't she 9? It's way too young to lose a parent, especially one that you're very close with. And she loved being at Graceland. She loved being with Elvis. So I think it took a while for it to sink in, because Priscilla, in one of her interviews, says that on the day of the death, when everyone was attending Graceland, and like the ambulance, etc., that she was riding around on the go-karts with her friend because she didn't really know what to do. I think she was stunned, to be honest with you. Right, let's have a look here then. So we've got, right, again from Lady Capricorn, Louis. Lisa put Navarone in her will when he was very young. He was always going to get 1/9 of her life insurance. She never got to making a change after the relationship became bad. Right, okay. Debbie Bowen. No, I've read that one. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, I did mention that my parents grew up in the jukebox era, in the cafe culture in the 1950s and 60s in London. I mentioned that when everyone would hang out with the jukeboxes, playing pinball, listening to all the rock and roll and the Beatles, etc. And there was a massive cafe culture in the UK back then. I'm not sure what you guys had in America, because a lot of you are in America and around the world, but it was massive here. We probably imitated what you guys were doing, my guess is. Anyway, we have Jamie Tetra, who's one of my regular who makes regular comments, and I love Jamie's comments, and he's just replying to me talking about working on my Volkswagen and my diet and trying to keep myself healthy. So let's have a look. I certainly understand why many of the comments are negative towards Priscilla. I think you're trying to be fair, and I am trying to be fair, and it's not easy. I believe you had mentioned that Mike Stone was married and had a pregnant wife. Did she think about Mr. Stone's wife? His inconsistencies from one interview to another is what I think turns people off. No, her inconsistencies. Just my take on it. And I agree that if you go back in the decades, you go to the sort of 80s, 90s and noughties, there's difference. There is a change. But I keep saying this. I keep watching loads and loads of interviews, and she rarely says bad things. The interviewer fishes for the bad stuff and draws it out of her. But generally, when you listen to Priscilla, especially in the last 20 years, she actually praises Elvis and really promotes him. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. I mean, there's no point in watching a half-hour interview with Priscilla where she spends all of it praising Elvis, and then she just throws in a few little bits that have been dragged out of her by the interviewer. I'm not trying to stick up for Priscilla. I'm just trying to be fair here. Yeah, right, okay. So let's click on the next. Oh, so let's have a look here. So this one, I might have read some of these. Now this,
Come on, get up.
let me just pause this.
Okay, well, I'm losing my mind.
Living museum. Let's have a look. Right. That's a Lady Capricorn. Perhaps Priscilla is contemplating using the surname Wagner. It would be a nice honor to her biological father, who did meet her, but unfortunately died in a plane crash. Let's go. I'm going to try and do it a different way because it's giving me the older comments. I want to try and get the newer comments. Let's have a look. There's Lizette Nielsen. She's got it in for me. You are a lifetime Priscilla fan now. You can't be both with all the this lady has done to Elvis and Lisa, and now Riley. Get it? You make me laugh, Lizette. You're funny. You're really going for it. I'm not a lifelong Priscilla fan. I'm an Elvis fan. I love Elvis all the time. But yes, Priscilla's a big part of this chat because so many comments are aimed at Priscilla, and I want to learn about Priscilla. And I want to understand everything that's happened with Priscilla. So, but you do make me laugh. Let's have a look here. keep going with the comments. YouTube make it hard to find the comments because they're sort of sporadic, dotted around. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So the video is, do you regret divorcing Elvis? I believe that she meant was that her daughter didn't even notice that her parents were still together or divorced. So at the point, they were not even together anymore. So for me, her answer was no. She didn't regret it because they didn't have anything. They didn't, right, because they didn't had anything men. The hate Priscilla gets worse for no reasons, right? But, you know, I've watched a few interviews. It's very clear that Priscilla was glad they divorced, 100%. And she said it more than once. She said that they got on much better when they were apart. It's obvious that Priscilla is glad that she made that decision to leave. It's so clear. And you don't need to search long to find her admitting this, you know. And that bothers me a bit because, you know, if you're in interviews and you're saying he was the love of my life, but then you're basically saying, but you're glad you divorced because you weren't right for each other, or Elvis wasn't ready to settle down, or whatever the reasons are, or because you feel he was too controlling, or because you were left at home a lot, or because he was unfaithful. I still think, you know, it's very hard to leave someone that you really love, yeah? And did she really love him when they split up? I don't think so. She obviously had moved on with Mike Stone, but she had other affairs as well. And I'm sure there's probably affairs that we don't even know about that went on when Elvis was away, making his movies, doing his tours, you know. So unfortunately, Priscilla, you were a naughty girl. You were. You're not going to get away with it by just never mentioning anything you did wrong in interviews. You need to fess up. And in these interviews, yes, okay, you want to mention things that Elvis did wrong, but also say what you did wrong. Then maybe the fans, Elvis fans, will think, do you know what? She's admitting the wrongdoing she also did. And not just with the unfaithfulness, with the money, and 100% with Riley Keough. And the Scientology thing just hasn't gone down well. It's really upset many people. And it was completely wrong for Lisa Marie, the Scientology. I would say almost borderline cruel. So that's that. So what I'm going to do now is play some of my shorts and then try and comment on them. I'm only going to show you them on the phone, but you can listen to them. I really like listening to these shorts because I made these shorts about a year ago, and there's about 3,000 of them. Your videos. Have a look. Actually, do you know what? Rather than do it as a short, I'll do it as a wide if it allows me. Then it's a bit easier for you guys to watch it. Let's have a look. Got to get past all my Volkswagen stuff first. No, it's not going to let me. I'm going to have to do the shorts. Right, okay. Let's have a look. Videos. Shorts. Now, I really like my shorts. It took me ages to make. So what we're going to do, we're going to go by most viewed and go backwards. So I'll try and do one that I haven't showed you already. Right, Elvis Presley, his last year alive. It's had 189,000 views. It's had 199 comments. I'm going to play it and I'm going to read some of the comments. Here we go.
What was his life like this last year, for instance? He would stay up in his room for 1 or 2 weeks at a time, popping pills, getting out of it, just trying to get away from the world. There was only two people that Presley ever really could rely on, who he really loved. That was his mother and his wife. Colonel Tom Parker, his guru, Svengali, whatever you wish to call him, was a very, very dramatic and strong influence. I mean, after all, this was a man that started him off, or who indeed not started him off, but at least saw the massive potential in this sensational charisma, talent. But his mother, Priscilla Presley, were the two real things he loved in his life. And when they went, it appeared that he had no real rudder.
After his mother died and he was divorced.
After his mother died, he went into a depression and some kind of decline. Soon after his mother died, he married Priscilla, who I would say to the day he died and until the day she died. So I'll say they always loved each other very, very much.
That's interesting. I made that a long time ago. Wasn't actually expecting that. I'm not really sure who that guy is. Yeah, quite strong words there from that person. Do any of you know who he is? I'm going to click on it again. I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to try and find any comments on it. Let's have a look. Is it going to allow me to see the comments?
What was his life like this last year, for instance? He would stay up
Here we go.
in his room for 1 week.
Let's try and pause it. Let's go to the comments. Right. Poor Elvis. Everyone knows him from last of his life. He was really unwell. Yeah, he was. Let me just get a longer comment. So, I've always been fascinated by Elvis. I've studied his life, and this man is spot on. The death of his mother tore his heart out of his chest. Essentially, Elvis was a mummy's boy. That's not a criticism. There isn't anything wrong with a boy loving his mother, and Elvis most certainly did. Well said. That's from Frank KY8. Let's have a look. The people around him, supposed to be caring for him, knew he was in a downward spiral. Too bad an intervention wasn't done and could have possibly gotten help. Rest in peace, Elvis. And I've heard this before. People really almost blame people and wish that Elvis had gotten help in those last few years to sort of turn everything around. I know that he had very, very serious medical conditions. And people have been messaging me saying that because Gladys married, Gladys' parents were first cousins, and this caused genetic abnormalities for Elvis, which gave him some very serious medical conditions where he needed a lot of painkillers, but not just that, strong medicines to try and help him get through the day, especially in the last few years. And we know that he used them to wake up and to go to sleep and that, but he also had a lot of medicinal needs because he was so unwell. And this must have been quite a shock to Elvis, because he generally looked very fit and healthy most of his life, didn't he? It wasn't really until he passed, I would say, after the 68 comeback. No, even then, I would say 72, up to 72, Elvis looked really well, didn't he? I would slim and fit, obviously tanned. And I knew he exercised a lot. He would always get ready for the tours, and he wanted to look great in Vegas. So 73, I would say, was a turning point for Elvis, where you could just see he wasn't as well as he was. Elvis' life was a roller coaster. He had his ups and downs. We have to try to remember his good times and keep his memory alive. I agree with that. Elvis was never able to perform outside the US. His manager wouldn't permit it. He feared he'd lose his grip over Elvis. He didn't care about him at all. A very common point. Obviously, he's talking about Colonel Tom Parker. Let's have a look. Please hold up for Elvis. He was really sick and very depressed about everything. He missed his mum. The divorce devastated him really bad. Remember that the good and kind Elvis that brought joy and happiness to us all. We love you and will fight for you, taking care of business. And yes, the divorce did blow him away. It did. He really felt like he'd lost his pride. And we know that he was extremely angry and even told Red West to kill Mike Stone. But we know that Elvis didn't mean it. It was just anger, and he was just saying silly things, and he regretted staying it. And as soon as he realized what he'd said, he took it back and said, I'm just being stupid. Right. Okay, let's play another video. I don't really want to talk about his death, really. I didn't really, I shouldn't have clicked on that one, really. Right, let's have a look. Okay, this is interesting. Elvis Presley meets Nancy Sinatra, and we know that Nancy Sinatra met Elvis when he was coming out of the army in 1960, and she brought a gift for him from Frank Sinatra. I'm just trying to think what it was. I think it was a shirt. I'm pretty sure that Frank Sinatra sent him a shirt. And you've seen the press conferences when Elvis was coming out of the army and he was on his way back from Germany, and Nancy Sinatra was with him. He went on to make a few movies with Nancy, and there was rumors that he had an affair with Nancy Sinatra, but he didn't. She really speaks highly of him, and she admits that she really fancied him. She was engaged at the time, and the best kiss she ever got from Elvis was an on-screen kiss in the movies. I'm pretty sure that she made 2 movies with Elvis. Was it Speedway? I'm trying to remember. You tell me, guys. What were the movies that Nancy Sinatra made with Elvis? Right, let's play it.
Did you and the King ever get it on?
I wish I could say yes, but no.
Oh, really?
No.
I heard that you romanced each other back around 1968.
You did? That's neat. No, didn't happen.
How come? No chemistry?
When I met him, I was 19 and engaged to Tommy Sands. And when we did the film, he was married and pregnant.
I don't get to meet that many people who knew Elvis.
You mean, did we sleep together? I could bring it up because it didn't happen. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. He was a great kisser.
He was a good kisser?
Yeah.
The King could kiss. We all know that. I've seen the movies. You can tell that in the movies. Yeah. But what was he like as a person? So he was a good kisser.
Funny, and sweet, and fidgety. He would always be moving, either his foot.
That's my.
And he smoked these long
cigarellos.
Yeah.
Cigarellos. I've seen pictures of him smoking those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Elvis many times with the cigarellos, but that's actually a lovely little clip, that is. I really enjoyed that. I haven't watched it for a while. Nancy Sinatra, is so obvious she was really fond of Elvis. They got on really well. I know that Elvis had a few differences with Frank when he was making GI Blues. I think, I forget her name, Juliet Prowse. I think Elvis had a bit of a thing with Juliet, and I think so did Frank Sinatra. So they had their differences, and I think in the mid-50s, Frank Sinatra said a few things about Elvis really that he shouldn't say. He sort of blamed Elvis for a lot of the delinquent behavior from the teenagers at the time. But I think Frank Sinatra grew to love Elvis and grew to like him, and they actually became quite good friends. And we know that Frank Sinatra loaned his aeroplane to Elvis when they secretly got married. And Frank Sinatra played a big part in helping Elvis get married. So I really like Nancy Sinatra. I think she's brilliant. Let's just see if there's any comments on here. Let's have a look. I want to get one that's... No, there's not many comments. Okay, let's go to the next video. All right, it's one of Elvis joining the army. Let's see what it says.
I was relieved the reporters didn't ask me about my mother. Elvis, do the other soldiers give you a rough time because you're famous?
No, sir, I was very surprised. I've never met a better group of boys in my life. They probably would have if it'd been like everybody thought. I mean, everybody thought I wouldn't have to work and I would be given special treatment and this and that. But when they looked around and saw I was on KP and I was pulling guard and everything just like they were.
Elvis, what do you think about going to Germany?
Well, sir, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I mean,
Just before I came in the Army, we were planning a tour of Europe. And I got quite a bit of mail from over there and everything, and I'm kind of looking forward to it, really. I was relieved the reporters didn't ask
I love that. Sorry about my hands are all oily. I've been working on the car all day. If you just joined, my hands are all dirty because I've been working on the car. But I really like that. And Elvis absolutely loved the Army. He loved it. He took it on head first. And I think it was probably a bit of a shock because I think in America you registered for the draft. So I think when it came through all of a sudden, I think it blew him away. So personally, for me, the most handsome version of Elvis, when he joined the Army, he was so gorgeous and manly. That's from Simoa. I love these pictures and videos. He looked so good, probably the best he ever looked in his entire life. He did look great, didn't he? Let's have a look. Thank you, Elvis, for fighting for our country. He has done so much with his life. Elvis Presley is coming a long ways from being poor to rich, and he even still gave to the people that were poor. Amen. Rest in peace, Elvis. Great words there from Pam Putman. Thanks, Elvis, for his service to our country. I grew up in the military family. I was 6 years old living in North Africa when I fell in love with Elvis. That's interesting. That's Jennifer Warren. Let's have a look. So, Mummy. Elvis was so amazing and proper, didn't let his fame blind him in being one of the people. He saved his country. No, he served his country, the most respectful star America ever had. And he came to this world, served his message and left. God bless him. And don't forget, Elvis wanted to be treated just like everyone else in the Army. He didn't want special treatment. He did KP and all the rest of it just like everyone else. And he did his basic training just like everyone else. And I know that basic training was very tough. And some say that he started taking his prescribed medications in basic training so he could keep up all night on these all-night maneuvers he was doing. So, you know, the Army played a hand in his medication, his tablets. So it's just so many great messages here praising Elvis. It's obvious they think he just looked his best. Like, he was so handsome as a soldier. He would walk on tour to European countries. So sad he didn't come. Loads of hearts. Look at that. Loads of hearts. I can't see. So it's just really sweet. Let's have a look here. So John Fanak. If Elvis was still alive today in today's world and sees the woman that we have today, he would have a heart attack and die, because the women in today's world are quite amazing. Pretty much in the woman back then he was around, yes, and the beautiful like Anne-Marie, and those are beautiful women, but the women today blow those women away. Sorry, I didn't read that very well, but I think he's saying that the women of today are more beautiful than the women of yesterday. Well, I don't agree with that. Right, let's play another video. I enjoyed that one. Let's see what else we got. Oh, Priscilla Presley. Was Elvis a good husband? Let's get this a bit louder. We've got to listen to this. I do find Priscilla's stuff really interesting. I'm just trying to think who's asking the question. It could be Larry King. Let's see.
You're married and almost a year later you have a baby, right?
Yes, my daughter.
First, what kind of husband was Elvis?
He was wonderfully loving, caring. He was a product of the business, and that was his only way of life. He loved it. He traveled all over before he was even really discovered by Colonel Parker, and had venues that he would appear at.
So that made it difficult as a husband in what way? A lot of women around him, obviously.
All the time.
How'd you handle that?
Very difficult.
Get ticked?
Yes. I mean, to be put in that position of admiration, I think it would be very difficult for any woman. it really was all about Elvis. In every way, in every move, in every, in every situation.
There you go. So I know that many of you will have a reaction to Priscilla, because you always do. Interesting, though. I mean, she is quite careful how she words it, isn't she? Don't you think? She's like, she doesn't like rip into him. She's subtle with it. Anyway, so she lived with him almost, this is from Sharon Love. She lived with him almost 5 years before he married her. She knew what she was getting into and into the divorce. Elvis stated that she was not to use his name, so she went by her maiden name when they divorced. As soon as Elvis died, she went back to Presley, and she has supported herself and all her boyfriends with Elvis's money. She didn't even marry her son's dad, and she lived with him for 21 years, and she supported him, her family, off his name. She was divorced from him for 5 years before he died. So what am I saying is she's rather keep the Presley name than marry her son's dad, so that makes him illegitimate. And she ran EPE, Elvis Presley Enterprises, for years and years, and didn't have one picture of Elvis in her office. And I've seen this interview. She was interviewed in the office while she was running EPE, and the interviewer says to her, "Why don't you have any pictures of Elvis in your office?" And she replies saying that would be unfair on, I think at the time it was Marco Garibaldi. He said that would be unfair on them and her son. So I think that miffed a few people, actually, that she just had no pictures of Elvis up. So I get this comment. Oh, yeah. So because she said it wasn't fair to her son and his dad. I remember that so well when she did an interview. But that's how she made her money. And she didn't give him a second thought. She's still making millions off him now, right along with Jerry Schilling. Do you know what? I hardly ever hear negative comments about Jerry Schilling. People are really fond of Jerry Schilling. But the other day, in one of the comments, they said that Jerry Schilling had an affair with Priscilla. Is that true? Did that happen? Let's have a look. I mean, that was quite an interesting comment, mine. Right, let's have a listen to this one. Sharon 6086, violins, Priscilla. You knew before you pushed yourself into his life that he had women around him all the time. It came with the business. What is it? Is it that you expected you would be his one and only once he met you? Elvis did not want to marry you. Parker pushed him and convinced him it would be the best thing for him, especially when you, Priscilla, threatened to say stuff about him, and you so blame yourself, not Elvis. Okay, well, again, we're hearing the same comments that people say about Elvis and Priscilla all the time. You knew what you were getting into. Of course, he wasn't going to be faithful. He was a singer, a film star. Why marry someone that was like that was getting that kind of attention from women? It was a marriage that could never work because you chose to marry someone that was never going to be faithful. That's what they're saying here. So maybe she thought she could change him. Maybe, who knows? What would you have done if you married, guys, you out there, if you married Elvis, knowing that he was super famous and making films and doing live concert tours, and he was being unfaithful, what would you do, guys? What would you do? How would you control it? Would you leave him? Would you try and find a way to deal with it? Would you accept it? It obviously was difficult for Priscilla. I've got to give her that. Her way, Priscilla's way, was just to go off and do the same thing and be unfaithful, really, isn't it? I'll get you back. There's a bit of revenge going on here, I think. Right, and I get this point here. A good husband doesn't have affairs with every woman he comes in contact with. And a good woman doesn't stick around just because he's famous. He needs to show her respect, and she needs to respect herself. And I've heard this comment many times. people will run Elvis down and bring up the fact he was regularly unfaithful, and he shouldn't have been unfaithful, guys. Come on. Even you, if any of you out there are married or have children that are married, you want your partners, you want them to be faithful to each other. It's the most important thing. If my wife was unfaithful, she'd be out the door. Yeah. I couldn't live with that, something like that. So again, I have to give that to Priscilla, but she messed up because she would go off and do it as well. This is the problem. If she stayed faithful and loyal and left him, I'd respect her more. But instead, she went off and had affairs with his friends. And that's a no-no, guys. I never liked Priscilla. They did have some history together, but I believe Anne Margaret was his true love, and he would have married her, but he promised Priscilla's parents he'd marry her. Two things there. Many times it's brought up that Elvis promised Priscilla's parents that he'd marry her one day. And I actually think there's a possibility that that's true. And then the other thing, the most that people think Elvis should have married. I actually think Elvis would have struggled being married to Anne Margaret. And I'll tell you why. Obviously, she was stunning and beautiful and talented, an amazing dancer and great to be with. But she was very, very driven, a career-minded woman. And Elvis didn't want a career-minded woman. He wanted a good old Southern girl to be at home, to look after the home, bring up the children, and make everything ready for him when he came back off making the movies or came back off the tours. So Elvis and Anne Margaret. 1 second. Yeah. Hello, come on in. Is the door shut?
No, we didn't. It was already a movie night. It was already a movie night.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Right, I'm just doing a live at the moment. Tina's with Gio. That's Yasmin. She's 7 years old and she's back. Do you want to say hello?
Bubblegum.
Come be nice.
A bubblegum.
Right, so you got your bubblegum, have you?
Yeah.
Don't swallow it. It's not good for you. So introduce yourself.
I'm Yasmin and I'm 7.
Where have you been?
To my friend's house.
You've been to a friend's house for was it cinema night?
Movie night.
Movie night. And what did you watch? Do you know what you watched?
We didn't really watch anything.
You didn't watch, you just played, yeah? And who's your friend?
Jade and
Jade.
Neve.
Have you noticed I've had my hair cut and I've dyed it? Because we're going on a little trip tomorrow. We're going to a posh hotel. We're going swimming. We're going to see a show. And then the next day, we're going to spend the day at a zoo. We're going to a seaside town called Torquay. And we're going to a zoo called Paynton Zoo. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a little adventure with Mummy, with the wife. Right, let's read the comment. He never wanted... Right, let's have a look. He never wanted to marry Anne Margaret, just Priscilla. It was always Priscilla. No one forced him to do it. Hi, Marigold. Where are you from? During the time Elvis went back home to Graceland after the army, he did ask Priscilla to come to Graceland. He was pursuing her and Margaret and his other co-stars. He used like USA cars. Just remind me where you're from. I think I've spoken to you before, haven't I, Marigold? And then you've got Nanda, Elvis Forever. Hi, Nanda. Tell me where you're from, guys. I'm in the UK. Tell me where you're from. So if you look here, Yasmin, this is people can comment. And I can, if I write here, look, I'll write hello. Yeah? Enter. And then they see me saying hello. Right, what I've been doing, I've been showing them videos. So let's have a look. All right, well, if you can find it, go and have a look upstairs. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Right, let's do the next video. Let's see. Right, all right, okay, so this is Priscilla talking about being left behind by Elvis. Let's Just press play and see what happens.
She was at the airport when I left. And there were some pictures made of her.
On the way to the airport, we were very quiet, and he would tell me not to worry, and he would stay in touch with me. A lot of obligations that he had to tend to, and that it may be a while, that he would hear from me, but he would get back to me, and he gave me his jacket, and he told me to keep it in a safe place for him to wear it, and think of him. Remember the bombardment of photographers following me to the airport, and he told me that when we got out of the car, he would stand up at the top of the stair of the plane, and he'd look for me, and he wanted me to wave, and he said he wanted me to be happy, and he said the last thing he wanted to do was see any sad faces of me, in the press. So that was really hard because I really didn't know if I would really ever see him again. I mean, here he was going off back to making movies, and I was the girl he left behind. A lot of doubt goes in your mind at that time.
Well, you all know this story, guys. You've seen it a million times. Right. My brother's just messaged me. I'm on. Let me just tell him he might join in. So yeah. So we know that story. Let's have a look. Right, let's have a look. Where are we? Let me just get back to the videos.
I can't find the phone.
So I want to read some comments from that video. So we know the story that Elvis did ask Priscilla to turn and wave, and that he promised that he would turn and wave to her when he's going back to America. And she really didn't know if she would ever see him again. But obviously, if you follow the book Child Bride, that turns everything upside down that we're being told about how they met, what went on in Germany and after Germany, and obviously with Cary Grant and that, if you believe the stuff that's in Child Bride. I'm not convinced yet, guys, with the Child Bride book. I'm still sort of trying to learn more about it. But Nanda, hi in Brazil. Hi, Brazil. What time is it in Brazil, Nanda? In the UK, it is 9:08 p.m. Right, let's just see if there's any other comments on that video. Here we go. I love Elvis as much as all of you, but he was not a man of his word. He married Priscilla and swore to God he would keep his body only for her. He did not do that. He broke her heart and Lisa Marie's heart when the family broke up. I'm not blaming or judging anybody. Life is hard. To be human is hard. Do you know what? That's a very honest comment, and I agree. You should be faithful. It's not right that he was unfaithful, and actually him being unfaithful did affect Lisa Marie, of course. So, and then the usual comment I'll get from this is, well, she knew what she was getting into, which, no, I am a believer in being faithful and loyal to your partner. I love Elvis, but I can list a few of Elvis's mistakes, and that was one of them. But Elvis also did a lot of amazing things, really good things for many, many people, many charities, and helped loads of people. He was such a kind, decent man, a really great Christian. He just got it wrong when it come to the marriage. He messed that up, and he should have left her there. She broke his heart when she divorced Elvis and took his daughter away from him. And he was heartbroken. And I've seen some Memphis Mafia interviews where they're saying that it really did seriously affect him. And we know that he moved on quickly with Linda Thompson, and he's had some happy times with Linda Thompson. But even with Linda Thompson, he ended up being unfaithful to her. And she was lovely. She was a really decent Southern girl, wasn't she? I really like Linda Thompson. She is one of my favourite girlfriends that he had. So let's just read this comment. Don't miss the auction in England now, where Priscilla and her partner, Bridget Crawls, are auctioning off Elvis' 1957 Bible with his name in gold. I would have kept it and given it to my grandchildren. Okay, I didn't even know about that. Mary, where are you from, Mary? Nice to meet you. I'm Louis. I'm in Southwest UK, and this is Yasmin. My daughter, she's 7. Right, let's play another video. Priscilla Presley, do you feel Elvis's presence when you're in Graceland?
Rosemary Altia Twitter asked, do you still feel his presence?
I do, especially when I go to Graceland. Absolutely, I do. His spirit is there. When I walk in those doors, I can hear his laughter. I can feel his spirit walking down the stairs. And I'm not the only one who feels that way. It's
his presence.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
There we are. She says it, and I've seen that in a few interviews. Should we see if there's any comments on it? Let's have a look. I live in Memphis, and I understand what she is saying. Every time I go through the door, I get goosebumps. Ooh, there we go. I would love to go to Graceland and be able to feel his presence. Would be wonderful. Would love it. I love Elvis, and I miss him. Lovely comment. Strange, but I can't understand it. When I went there, I felt his presence too, and I didn't even know him personally. That's interesting. Right. If a woman really loves her partner, she have full of patience and serve him or her being a spouse. True love is to accept whatever his or her shortcomings are, not just thinking only of oneself. We should understand being a celebrity cannot have him 24/7. I agree with that, but you got to be faithful, guys. By the way, bidding starts at $30,000. We'll get Priscilla to buy it. Right. She's the most devoted ex-wife in the world. So much love. So sad. Now she has lost her little girl. I feel so bad for her. My prayers. That's from Laura Mata. Do you know what? Unfortunately, I don't get many good comments about Priscilla, and that is a nice comment for Priscilla. And Priscilla does have many, many fans. I don't seem to have many of them on my channel. Are any of you Priscilla fans? Right.
What's that? What's that one said?
Says, hang on. Let's play another video. I like playing these little videos. All right, Elvis with Linda Thompson. Let's do it.
Well, he lived his life out of the public eye. So when everybody else was up going to work and doing whatever they did in the daytime, we were sleeping.
Oh,
and
the
then
other
we would
one's
wake
fine.
up at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, and after a few years,
All right, Tina's here.
I would have breakfast at 9, 10 o'clock at night, stay up all night, rent movie theaters, watch movies.
The other kids awake.
Do whatever we did all night. And the next morning,
loyal to his friends, right?
very loyal.
Come and sit here then. Yes, we show him how to put Spider-Man up. Right, I think. Right, hang on. Whoa. I think. Right. Okay. Right, kids. I'm making a live video. There's people all around the world watching us, and we're talking about Elvis. And then someone walks in the room called Tino, who is 4 years old and is noisy. So, can I play a video without you making noise? Okay, right, let's do it. See all these people here? They're talking to us. Right, you have to turn it down. Right, okay. Now, are we ready to play a video? Right, let's try again. We'll try a different one this time. Right, are we ready, kids?
What is that?
Shh, you gotta be quiet. Right, are we ready? Larry King.
What is that?
They were still trying to live a single life. And I was just trying to, have a family life. He wanted the best of both worlds.
Can't have that.
Not when you're married.
True that he didn't sleep till very late.
Had a very hard time sleeping.
What brooded him? What got him to drugs and depression? And he had all that, right? I mean, he had to fall into that.
He actually.
We wonder when you see someone that's successful.
Yeah, that was an addiction that started in the army.
In the army?
In the army. Yes.
In Germany?
In Germany.
So you knew of it then?
I did, but it wasn't anything like later in life. I mean, he convinced himself he had to have Dexedrine to stay awake. So.
Did he take something to go to sleep?
And he took something to go to sleep. That was part of his life.
Was he a drinker?
No.
Wasn't into alcohol?
No.
There we are.
So
Actually,
funny.
I don't remember doing that one. She actually goes into detail about what particular pills he was taking. She says it was in the army. Shut that door, please, Jasmine. That's quite an interesting little clip, that is. The dog, look, even the dogs are coming now. Wait! Shut that door. Yasmin, shut that door, please. We have 2 Jack Russells. Sorry about the noise, guys. So she also says that he started taking the pills in the army, which I mentioned earlier, on his maneuvers to keep up all night. So, you know, Larry King there asking some quite serious questions. Yeah, go on.
I already have the yogurt.
Let's have a look. Right. All right. Priscilla Presley talking about Colonel Tom Parker.
With Colonel Parker, did you ever make peace with him?
I did. There was 2 colonels. There was the colonel who was the manager, and there's colonel that was, you know, very, very sweet and very, very nice. I mean, he took care of both his wives. The first one who passed away, he was always there for her, and also his second wife as well. Had dinner with them, and actually Elvis did too, in Palm Springs. And so there was 2 sides to him: the business, and of course the very gentle side, where he's not working and not, doing anything in show business. I should say. But yes, there was 2 sides to him. And he was actually, I think it was more, he had to live out what Elvis wanted to do, or he promised Elvis, and that was he was going to make him $1 million. And he wanted to live up to what he promised Elvis.
Okay, guys, I think I'm going to end it there because the kids are obviously a bit, be careful. So I hope you enjoyed this, going through these different clips and having a chat. Really pleased any of you that joined us. And sorry about any noise of the dogs and the kids. It's pretty normal in my household. So,
my house.
Yes, it's your house, Tina. So we're all going to say goodbye to the people all over the world. If you're joining this later and you're watching this later, I really appreciate it. Please comment. I do like your comments. We're out of here, guys. Let's wave.